It's springtime in northeastern Minnesota, and we're with Northland Muskie Adventures. We've got our good friend Dustin Carlson and his guide partners in Northland Muskie Adventures, Bob Benson and Pete Brezinski. And we're going to be chasing some springtime muskies up there. These guys fish several lakes in this northeastern part of Minnesota, lakes and rivers. We don't really have typical spring weather unless winter is what you consider spring, but you know, it is open. The season's been open for a couple weeks and weed growth is starting. We're going to be looking for some different things out here. One way or the other, we'll show you
the next bite.
I'm just looking for the next bite. I'm just looking for the next bite. I'm just looking for the next bite. I'm just looking for some fish with teeth. Fish with teeth.
Keith Cavallez, Gary Parsons, and Pete Maina live to fish. But certain fish really throw these guys over the edge. Walleye, muskie, northern pike, fish with teeth. Countless days spent on the water have turned these guys into fishing machines with an eagerness to teach people how to catch more fish. So if you are ready to become a better fisherman, join Keith, Pete, and Gary on their quest for the next bite.
I'm just looking for the next bite.
When most people think of spring, they think of warming weather and perhaps sunnier days.
It's a nice, warm June morning.
51 degrees!
For hardcore muskie fishermen, while these things are appreciated, they've never really been a necessity.
I forgot my shorts. I don't know, we better go back.
In fact, it wouldn't matter if the sky turned purple.
It's go time. Go time.
Yeah, it's nice and warm.
It's the start of a new season for Muskellunge, which every year has most of these fanatics busting at the seams of Old Man Winter's straitjacket for a chance to get out on the water. But whether your objective is lakes or rivers, getting out this time of year is only half the battle.
My goodness. Boat positioning 101.
Because knowing where to start and how to use those areas is key, especially when the weather may not have the muskies as excited as the rest of us.
Oh, beautiful cold front. We got 61-degree water here, I see. I don't know, about 50-degree air temps probably. Not exactly your typical summer pattern. We're doing a couple of different things this time of year structurally with what we're looking for. I mean, the main thing we're looking for is new weed growth. But as far as what we've got on this body of water, we've got some big flat areas and we've also got some nice areas with really good contours. And the one thing, of course, you want to look for in using waypoints and icons is always dropping a waypoint or icon on any fish that you see. You know, especially if you don't catch it, but any place there's a fish, I mean, you want to know where that is and be able to come back to it. The other things you do is you use the sonar to drive around maybe at first to try and find the better areas of weeds, something you really want to concentrate on, and especially so on these flat areas like this that don't really offer you a contour, is being able to find those thicker patches and be able to go back and fish them later. The other thing that we're doing is we're fishing contours quite a bit, and again we're looking for weeds and we're going to concentrate on the best patches. So the key areas are generally, in a lot of cases, points and inside turns in a weed line. And we've got this great system now with the GPS and the GPS mapping, but you got to remember the maps aren't always completely perfect. So what I'm always looking for when I'm looking at these contour areas is any little nuances that don't necessarily fit that map. And then I'm going to put a waypoint marker there where a point may stick out a little farther or at a little different angle than it actually shows on the map, or an inside turn will actually cut in farther. I want to put it mark either on the tip of that point that doesn't match the map or on the very inside turn that doesn't necessarily match the map. So when I'm working that contour back through, I know exactly where I'm at all the time, and I'm going to be hitting what are most likely the prime spots on those edges. Oh, there we go, fish. All right, man. That looks like a pretty good one, too.
Right, nice.
Head shaking. Is that on that glider?
Yeah, she's barely hooked.
Nice fish. You got it? All right. There we go. There we
She's
go.
pinned pretty good. She's going underneath the boat. Lay down, girl. Dancing around a little bit.
Yeah, that one is a head shaker.
Here she comes up. Oh, that's a decent fish.
Bring her up.
You got that ready?
Yep, I got it. Bring it up. Bring it up.
I'm going to bring her around here.
All right, get her in there.
There we go. There we go. Got her.
Hey, got
Nice
her.
work.
There we go.
Pliers. Thank you, sir. Get this bait out of here quick. Sounds good.
That's a nicer fish than I thought. Man, was she just whoa.
When she was head shaking from side to side, and I thought she was a lot bigger than she was. I couldn't move her at all, and then all of a sudden she started giving me some room to catch up with her.
Yeah. Very cool.
And in here for her. Give her a little headshot here.
Stay back here and get a couple pics.
Nice fish.
Yeah, it is.
Nice, beautiful fish. Pretty. Nice spots on her. Nice spotty. Nice, healthy fish.
All right, man.
Nice fish. Let's get her back. Get her back. Cool deal.
Get her back in.
Nice mid-40s. Chunky. Yeah, she's a nice thick fish. Ooh, she's ready to go. There she is.
I think she's gonna be fine.
The next bite is presented by Mercury. Amsoil, the first in synthetics. Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. And Motor Guide, never stop. Pete Maina, Dustin Carlson, and Pete Brezinski are making all the right moves by keying in on newer weed growth in flat areas and also contour-style structure spots.
Let's fish this spine going across here, that early weed growth. Sounds good. All right.
But even though breaking down water methodically and patterning lures by everyone trying something a little different along the way are big advantages,
We do this because it feels good. Punish.
sometimes you just have to stick it out and trust in your approach.
Time to wake them up. Waking up the sleeping giants.
Of course, when it comes to Pete and chasing Esox in general, there is nary an option that at some point isn't weighed.
So, what are you guys thinking tactic-wise here? Dynamite now?
Dynamite wouldn't be a bad call. I think we should get the howitzer out.
Howitzers might be good. While it's dry for a minute, I wanted to talk a little bit about just the realities of muskie fishing. You know, you watch a TV show and you see guys catching fish all the time, and you might think, hey, these guys are good. They do this for a living. They're always catching fish. But especially with muskie fishing, a low-density critter like this, the bottom line is sometimes these fish are just off due to weather conditions. It might be a cold front. It might be abnormal heat. It might be watercolor. And the thing is just to get that idea in your head that sometimes you just got to stick with it, be hard-headed. If you're in an area where you know the fish are, you just got to keep casting and pound it out. Start early, fish late. We're all working together here. We're trying different lures. That's what you got to do to hopefully come to a pattern. But also, when the fishing's just plain tough, you got to keep working hard and keep paying attention, because the reality is sometimes you're working all day for just one bite, and you want to be ready and be on top of it.
Not giving up. The only way to really catch a muskie, and during a stubborn bite, nabbing a few other critters along the way is always appreciated. A little more than usual.
What do they do with these? Mwah! Ho, 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 ho.
But as if a sign directly from the muskie gods themselves, just as a little sunshine breaks up the monotony of the previous day's endless cloud ceiling.
Oh, here she comes, man. I'm yours, Dustin.
There she is.
Nice one.
Dustin gets a glimpse of a follow.
Oh, she'll eat it.
And after such a long break in the action, he isn't stopping his figure eight until he triggers this fish,
Well, I can't see her at all.
or wears his rod down to the reel trying.
So it circled around and wanted to eat it. Yep, did it look like?
Oh, I'd want it to.
Oh, yeah.
Got her. Got him. All right.
I got the net. All right, woohoo! That away. I got the
That was cool.
on the fourth or fifth time around. Oh, she's moving long and hard. Oh, she's going down.
Did you even see it hit? Well, I gotta get on a trolling motor, dude. We're gonna be on the rocks here.
Oh, she's going down over this deep hole.
Well, hang on, we're almost on shore behind us here. If you feel a jolt.
You ready? She's barely hooked, Pete.
She's still on, dude. You got her.
Yeah! That was awesome.
Oh, that was cool.
She went about 5 times around on the figure eight, and you know what? You never give up on the figure eight.
Well, you know, she took that swipe first. I mean, for that reason, you knew she was active, and then you kept going. About 4 more times around, she hit it.
Nice fish.
That's a nice fish, though.
Beautiful fish, yeah.
That was exciting.
Heck yeah, can't beat a figure eight strike like that.
Yeah.
That's definitely Wisconsin, huh?
Yeah, Wisconsin strain.
Oh yeah, that was so exciting.
Still waving at us.
All right, man, we'll get her back.
All right.
Sounds good.
There she goes. Waving goodbye, boys.
Yep.
The Real Deal. Real fishing information from real fishing experts. Presented by Amsoil.
The Mustad double wide hook was initially designed for 2-hook crawler harnesses, and it's great for that. But I tell you what, it's also become our go-to hook for all of our live bait techniques. So let's look at what makes this so good for a 2-hook crawler harness. The key attributes of a double wide are, of course, that it's very wide hook. This allows this hook to hook up the fish better. They basically touch it, you've got them. But it also has a fairly short shank on it. And what that short shank does is, first of all, reduce the weight of the overall hook, making the crawler actually move better. But it also gives you a camming action. When that fish bites this hook, it cams into the roof of his mouth. So again, double wides and spinners just absolutely go together. Let's look at some of the other rigs, though, that I would use this hook for. With leeches, especially say on a slip sinker type rig, the key to a leech being effective is that it's allowed to swim underwater. It's got to be able to move. So you have to use a very lightweight hook and a small hook. I use a number 8 double wide for this, but again, because even though it's a little hook, because it's got that nice wide gap in it, you still got a great chance of contacting that fish's mouth when he sucks it in. So it allows him to swim, but it actually hooks the fish up after he bites. The other place that we use these hooks a lot are for our minnows. The key thing I look at on minnows is you want to look at the hook based on the size of minnow that you're using. For example, with this small little fathead here, I might only use about a number 2, maybe even just a number 4 hook. But again, nice wide gap. What that does is it allows this hook to be wider than the head of the minnow. And so therefore, when that fish bites it, again, just a great chance of hooking up with that fish. The trickier part is when you get to a little bit bigger minnows, because here you really need that wide gap of the double wide to ensure that you're going to be able to hook up this minnow. You can see this number 1 double wide here is plenty wide. It's a lot bigger than that number 2, but plenty wide even on this big minnow here, that when that fish engulfs this bait, you're going to get it in his mouth. The other great thing about these double wides is that they come with the ultra point technology, which means they're not only sharp out of the box, but even if you're banging them down on the bottom and rocks and sand, they're going to stay extremely sharp. So the double wide, great spinner hook, but I tell you what, for any live baits for walleyes, it should be your hook of choice.
In the springtime, a few things to focus on is looking for the early weed growth on your traditional lake or river system. The muskies are just getting done with the spawn. They're migrating out in the main part of the lake, setting up on structure, and the early weed growth is where you're typically going to find fish early in the year. And you also can look up into 1 or 2, 3 feet of water, or all the way out into 8 or 10 feet of water is where you'll typically find the weed growth. Focus on wind-blown shorelines also. If the wind's blowing across the lake, you'll find the water temps anywhere from 1 or 2 or 3 degrees warmer than on the other side of the lake. Also, concentrate on the break lines on those weed edges. A weed edge might be from 2 to 4 feet or from 6 to 8 feet. It really could vary, but on those break lines, traditionally the muskies will set up and ambush their prey. Position your boat on the deeper edge and cast up in that shallow water. Also do it vice versa. Put your boat in the shallow water and cast out into the deeper water, and you'll find the next bite.
Continuing to hit areas where waypoints mark previous follows and some strikes.
She's hot. She's hot. There she is.
Come on, come on.
There she is. She'll get it. I'll get her.
Get after it. Come on, fish.
Proves to Pete Maina, Dustin Carlson, and Pete Brezinski that the muskies are still here.
Got her?
Even if their brief moment in the sun is now long gone.
Smallest muskie that I've
Smallest muskie that I've ever seen.
But tough weather conditions are old hat. However, what is becoming increasingly interesting to Pete about this pattern, though,
I see you gave up on the small bucktail idea.
is that they are having better success with larger lures.
What do you got, Pete?
I don't need a net. It's either a pike or a muskie. think it's a muskie, but he's just not a big one.
Which goes against the grain for what is considered typical for this time of year.
Future 40-pounder right there.
There you go.
Future 40-pounder, I like it.
And I'm pretty proud of it today. But look at that bite. Look at that. Huh? You swallow basketballs with that mouth.
Absolutely.
We had kind of an interesting observation here on this trip from a patterning standpoint. Now, there's a couple of things we got going here. Number one, it's spring, and number two, it's a cold front. And for both of those reasons, the general idea there is to size down. You know, first of all, again, early in the year with the new weed growth, a lot of the forage, it tends to be small this time of the year, and traditionally or typically, fish react the best to smaller presentations. And also in a cold front situation, really any time of year, but especially so again in the spring. And it's interesting, the action that we have had working together with all three of us, we've tried a bunch of different stuff, we've tried the smaller stuff, but the fish that we have caught have really all been big baits. In fact, you could actually say oversized. Oh, I got something right now. You could say northern. And here's a good example. Well, he just got off, but you know, here's an 8-inch bait here, and there was about a 14-inch northern pike that basically was as big around as the bait. And I guess that maybe sets the example for us, is that, you know, we're really using oversized baits is what we've actually had the success on. The two nice muskies we've actually caught, and again, some of the other activity has been on big oversized bucktails. I mean, the kind of stuff you'd really consider using late summer, early fall type of situation, and great big glider jerkbait. So the key is that, you know, go with the general rule, because there's reason behind it. People have had success doing that, and typically something like that is going to work. But on the other hand, you got to try everything when it's tough. Search for that pattern. If the fish are showing you they want bigger stuff, throw the bigger stuff.
Leading information on tackle and techniques to make you a better fisherman. Presented by Mercury.
Hi, I'm Robin Singer, the Merc Professor. You know, you think back of the tradition, we were all weaned on the smaller tail handles, especially with the Mercury, where the shift and throttle, but now it's time to move up to the bigger engines. And what we've got here is the big tiller. It's basically plug and play. Whether it's a 40 horse, 75, or even the new 150, it's about maneuverability and precise handling. You know, we've moved the shift lever up front so you can bump it in and out of gear. Up front on the grip itself, a convenient 110 degrees rotation. It's got a trim and tilt switch up front, right at your fingertips, so you're always in control. In the midships, we've got the safety lanyard, so it's back here, out of the way, so it doesn't interfere with the operation. And it's a center-mounted tiller, which is more precise for handling and maneuverability. And when you look at it, we have it available in a manual system from the 40 through the 150, actually power steering, which makes it fingertip control. And let's not forget for the Verados, the DTS, digital throttle and shift. Again, it's all about precise handling to get you out and get you on those fish.
Joined by Bob Benson, also of Northland Muskie Adventures.
Ready to go get him, Pete?
Yeah, man.
Continuing colder than normal temperatures.
I think it's only 45 today.
Can't believe I got gloves on.
And subsequently a small case of lockjaw from the muskies.
You know, it's been a tough couple days when the bait stash is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Has had Pete Maina and crew working hard for every bite.
Looks like we got a little front coming in. You saw it on the radar. If things aren't tough enough, since you've been dry for a couple hours, you might as well get wet again.
Yeah. You know, usually with the front coming in, we should get a little activity going here.
I like the idea of the change, because the status quo sure wasn't working for us.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah, actually, on a serious note, let's hope so. Maybe a little change with this coming in. We might get a little wind switch or something, and maybe a fish will go.
But even if almost every good fish had to be coerced into biting,
There's one.
it only goes to show how rewarding being practiced up on your boat side maneuvers can be.
He's down! Oh, Jesus! Oh, God!
Right at the boat.
Keep her down! I'll get the net!
Holy cow! What a hit!
I'll get the net! I'll get the net! Come here, Bob.
Okay.
Yeah! Bobby had like 30 inches of line out and she just head
Wow,
shaking.
she was all over the place,
She
man.
was.
I love those boatside eats. Boy, with the storm bearing in too.
Yeah.
Needed the change,
Yeah, we did.
and we got it.
Nice fish,
Oh,
Bob.
nice fish, huh?
Beautiful.
Nice chunky one.
Beautiful. Oh, she's fat too.
I mean, the way that would, you must have been around about 5 times, huh?
Nice choppers too inside there, huh?
Check that out.
What a way
Nice
to
view,
get
huh?
one.
Nice. Nice job,
Yeah,
Bob.
that was an awesome deal, dude. Well, you better get her back. Okay. Wow.
There she goes.
There she goes.
Fantastic. Love to see him flip that tail and swim away like that.
I wonder if KVD uses these. I don't know. He should. Catch a few bigger ones.
There you go. Bigger bait catches bigger fish.
I hate to say it, that's not. I know that's not the biggest one in the lake, but he's gonna get big quick with that kind of attitude. UV protection and good looking too. Come on, fishy. Bite, bite, bite. We can't get the next bite unless there is a bite.
Bring this bait out very often.
Oh,
but
really?
No. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I want a 90 pounder, and that's
Good.
what we're going after.
That's the kind of attitude I like.
Is there anybody out there?
There is no pain you are receiving.
The Next Bite would like to thank Dustin Carlson, Pete Brezinski, and Bob Benson of Northland Muskie Adventures. Find out how you can cast further and reel faster at northlandmuskieadventures.com.